Yes. Okay. All right. So for people that are having some problem, I learned this last week, maybe a little bit on your end, just make sure you're connected to the Wi-Fi.
Okay, I am.
Wherever you are, internet, right? The internet is the key. Yay, thank you.
Okay.
You know what? This whole game is a labor of love. Whatever the obstacles are, man, we're gonna make it work. So
Emoji
thank you.
hands.
Thank you, everyone, for your patience. So here is
Yes.
Monica. Now,
Hello.
the only part I'm going to say about Monica, and then I'm gonna let her sort of tell you her 60-second story. So I first met Monica because she won a contest at 97.9 The Box. She won $10,000 in one of our Shavana Motors $10,000 contests. This is some years ago. And I remember the day Monica came up to the radio station. She was so excited. And she came up and was moving to California and took that $10,000 and has built herself a nationwide business. So,
Yes, I did.
and so I wanted to invite her on because there's a lot of concern. Music business, our whole landscape is changing. Small business landscape is changing. There's a lot of us, not us, I work for a company, but there's a lot of people that are influencers or it's individual business owners, right? And so everybody has credit and finance top of mind. So I wanted to invite Monica on to give us some free days. So Monica, why don't you give your 60-second spiel, and then we'll talk some credit and finance.
Yes, well, thank you for having me. Hello, everyone out there. I hope that the information that I'm going to be sharing will be useful for you. My name is Monica Crofton. I'm CEO of Crofton Credit Consulting. For over 16 years, I've worked in the financial and banking industry where I would assist with underwriting, loan processing, and all type of financial processes. However, one of the things that I noticed is that a lot of people in our community that we were supposed to be serving was not able to get approved for credit items. So there was a lot of denials, and my desk was stacked with credit denials. So I wanted to change that. And so I started to help these clients become approved by helping them repair their credit, and they were able to get approved. But then in the bank, I started becoming known as the girl who repairs credit. And of course, that wasn't my job title. So I did see that the need in the community for credit repair and for credit understanding was needed. And so 5 years ago, I left corporate America and left the financial industry. And for 5 years, that's how Crofton Credit Consulting got started. And we are growing fast. We service all 50 states, and we are certified by the city of Houston, and we are happy to be here.
Okay, awesome. Well, I'm glad we got this tech thing worked out. And so I was hearing a little bit of feedback, so I went ahead and put in these little headphones. So
I'm going to put mine in now, too. Let's see.
Okay. If there's a problem, one of y'all let us know there's an issue, okay? So, awesome. So, Monica, I just wanted to ask you, first and foremost, let's really talk credit, right? So, let's talk about the fact that a lot of people, like I can tell you in the radio industry specifically, a lot of people have been furloughed, right? And so for those of us that don't know what a furlough is a temporary layoff. It doesn't mean you're fired. It does mean that you are laid off, right? My mom used to work in a factory. That happened a few times in her career with the factory. And so you're laid off. You do have the ability to file for unemployment, but you're laid off. So, the companies that you work for aren't really giving you a check. And then on the music business side, for the record label executives, so forth and so on, that could be a reality coming there. And then let's top it all off, right? We've got artists, we've got producers, we've got music business professionals on different sides of the business on here. And if you're an artist and you're not doing concerts, well, you're not making money. If you're a comedian and you're not touring, you're not making money. Maybe you're an influencer and you're using your influence to try to get people to buy things on whatever social media platform, and maybe people aren't buying as much because they're concerned with holding on to their money because they're not sure what the landscape is going to look like. So you may have a little bit of cash saved up and you may have some credit. What do you do during this time? Do you try to burn through your cash, or do you burn through your credit? Like, how do you handle a time like this?
Well, the very first thing that you want to do is take a deep breath and don't panic. Even though we're in a pandemic right now, it's not going to last. Just like when the market crashed in 2009, it didn't last. So you want to make sure that you're being responsible with the way that you're spending. But the number one thing is to do not panic, and this is the time to get a financial plan. The very first thing you want to do is just to write out all of your fixed bills to make sure that the money that you do have right now, you can take care of your fixed bills, which fixed bills is the items that come every single month on schedule: light bill, phone bill, car note, mortgage or rent, credit card bills, things like that. Those are your fixed bills. Now, if you see that there's a problem with you being able to pay your bills, the best thing that you can do is communicate with your creditors. That's the number one thing you want to do. Right now, the wait times may be very long because of what's going on in the world right now, but it's worth the wait. What you want to ask them for is just to see what type of options they have for you. There's a lot of companies that are eliminating monthly payments. So for instance, with credit card companies, they are offering up to 1 to 3 months for you to not pay any monthly payment. So basically they will waive your monthly payment. However, there are consequences to that, and we'll get into that in a moment. But just to answer your question about some of the things that you can do, you need to write out your monthly budget to make sure that you do have enough money for your fixed bills. Two, if you see that you don't, or you might be struggling within that, then you want to call your creditors and let them know, because they have departments in place to help you with that. And thirdly, you just want to make sure that you're not frivolously spending money right now. It's no need to buy a shirt and things like that. Right now, it's time to buckle down and purchase only the necessities. That's it. And also, if you're a family of more than one, you want to make sure everybody in your household is on the same accord when it comes to the financial. So you need to have a financial conversation with the people in your household.
Okay, so let's use a scenario. Maybe I've just been furloughed, so I'm going to file for unemployment. Now, unemployment, for those that have never been down the road, it's a percentage, right? It's a percentage of pay. It's not your whole check. It's going to be less than what you're accustomed to making, and you know, so money is still going to be tight. Now, the problem I think comes in for some people during times like this is how you've set yourself up, right? So furloughed person, maybe you're only working part-time, and maybe you're like a DJ on the side, right? So you may work part-time for someone, and then you DJ, and the DJing supplements your income. So officially on the books, you're a part-time employee for a company, but you know, we all know off the books, right? You're out here, you're DJing, you're maybe a host at a club, so forth and so on. So when it comes down to being able to survive a time like this, you know, the government is going to look at what you file, like, right, with your unemployment. Like, they're going to look at how much money you actually make, quote, on the books, and not really take into consideration your off the books money, because, you know, that's been your DJ money, correct? Yeah.
Well, yes. Well, that's income. So are you speaking as far as the stimulus payments, or are you speaking of?
Well, we could talk about the stimulus payment. So everybody's curious and wants the check, right? So the government has said that they're going to send out a stimulus check for individuals and families, right? So that check, the amount of the check is depending on your income, and it's depending on how many dependents you have. But there's a couple of things that they're going to be looking at, right?
Yes, so the stimulus bill, the information is still evolving. So as everyone's getting the information, pretty much all of us are knowing the same information. The government is still trying to figure out how to make this work for everyone. If you want to know additional information, the IRS.gov, on their website, they have all of the ramifications, because everyone's situation is different. Everyone's like, well, what about veterans? What about small businesses? What if I have not filed my taxes before? So those are questions that all of us only have limited information right now, because it's only limited information out there. What you can know is that a stimulus checks will be sent out within the next 3 weeks. Over these next 3 weeks, they're still trying to figure out what to do and how it's going to be done and who's going to get that money. For further information, just so you can get the correct information, IRS.gov is the best place to go for that information. But I do want to answer the first question that you asked: should you be using your money right now, your liquid funds, or credit cards? So this is the reason why they say credit cards should be used for emergencies only. This pandemic this is an emergency. You want to keep your liquid funds, so your cash, you want to keep your liquid funds on you, because there's just certain things that you can't pay with the credit card. Mortgages and things like that, those is where you're going to spend your liquid funds. Things like buying groceries and getting gas, that's something that you want to put on your credit card, because you want to make sure that you're keeping your liquid funds still liquid. You don't want to zero out your cash and then only have credit cards. That wouldn't be wise, because like I stated, every company does not accept credit cards, and if they do, it may come at a heftier fee to pay them. So you want to make sure that you're balancing that out. Keep your liquid funds liquid. If you have a credit card right now and it's not maxed out, you don't want to max out your credit. You want to use those for the things that you need, like groceries, food, if you need to pay little small things, because like I said, eventually this pandemic is going to be over, and then you'll be able to make a financial plan to pay these items back, so that you're not stuck with all of that interest as of right now. But my recommendation is definitely keep as much liquid funds as you can, and to continue to pay your bills if you're able to. That's been a big question, and everyone's like, oh, you don't have to pay your rent. You don't have, this is the words that I'm hearing people say. You don't have to pay your rent. You don't have to pay your mortgage. You don't have to pay your credit cards. It's not that you don't have to, but all of this comes with the ramification. This is something that they're offering to you. This is just an offer, but every offer is not always a good offer. The reason why I state that, so with credit card companies, they're stating that some credit card companies will give you up to 3 months with paying $0 towards it. You don't have to pay your monthly bill. So let's say in the instance your regular monthly payment to your credit card is $150. You're paying that each month, but now they offered you don't have to pay it for the next 3 months. So let's say you take advantage of that offer and you're like, you know what, I have the $150, but I don't want to pay it if I don't have to. So now that $150 now goes over to the next month. So, and you don't have to pay your monthly payment for that month either. So now that $150 is being added to that. Now that's $300 now that you haven't paid. That's added to your balance now. And then you go to the next month, another $150. Now that's $450. Keep in mind, although the credit card companies are not stating that you need to make a payment, but that interest is not stopping. They are not deferring any interest. So now you are compounding your interest. So come that third month, when it's time for you, when you now have to start making payments, instead of you making that $150 payment, you're now about to make about a $400 payment, one-time payment. So you have to be careful with taking these offers from these companies. If you can continue to pay your bills normally, continue to pay your bills. If you are one of those people who are furloughed and your money is not as much, then those offers are out there for you, but understand the ramifications behind it.
You know, I have a question, Monica. So let's say in a scenario where, okay, I have less money to work with. Should you pay less on a bill? Maybe I can't afford to pay the whole note this month, or I have a specific amount of money, and so I just need to spread it out amongst my bills so I can have some cash for the things that I, little emergency things that I need. And I want to pay my bills, but I can't afford to pay the whole amount. How do I operate under those circumstances? Do I just not pay at all?
Oh, you should always pay your bills on time and on schedule and in full if you can. That's rules to paying bills. Some people don't know how to pay bills. The way you pay bills is on full, on time. Yeah. Yes, on time.
But I'm just saying.
I know you know. Oh, I know you know. But this is for
I'm learning the hard way.
Right, but some people have to go through the motions before they learn this. I haven't always been the CEO of my company. I have made some of these mistakes that I'm speaking on, so I am speaking from experience. Some people just don't know or may not have learned how to pay bills. Most people rob Peter to pay Paul, and this is how they handle their business when it comes to bills, and it causes stress. So the best way to pay your bills is on time, in full, and on schedule, and that's what you want to do each month. Now, for those who need to make a payment arrangements while we're going through this, you want to call the companies that don't necessarily have interest. So if you know that once again, this pandemic is not going to last always. So this is only a temporary, what we're speaking about right now. So you can temporarily call your light company. I would prefer, if you're going to do that, then make sure that you're paying less on the bills that don't have interest added to it, because you don't want to pay more money down the line. So say, for instance, your light bill is normally $100. You can call the company and say, hey, is it okay if I pay $50? But you need to let them know that you're a part of this pandemic. You have to communicate with your creditors, because other than that, you're just a person who's just paying half the amount. So you want to make sure that you're making these arrangements with your creditors. So bills like a light bill, a phone bill, things like that are bills that I would say I would only pay half if I didn't have enough money to pay all my bills. For me, also when it comes to credit cards, some people pay more than just the minimum balance. If you have to scale back and just pay the minimum balance, as long as you're paying it on time, then that's fine. So I would just say that would be some recommendations on that.
You know, one of the things that I wanted to touch on is fear, right? A lot of times we, hey, I've been guilty, so this is from personal experience. I mean, I learned the lesson the hard way, right? I mean, transparency, you know, when I first got in the radio business, my full-time salary was $11,800 a year, right? That was full-time. I worked every day, like 40, well, probably more than 40 hours a week. I worked part-time at Walmart in the afternoon. And even though I was working full-time, I couldn't afford to really pay my bills right. So long and winding road is at some point I did ended up filing bankruptcy because I just didn't have good financial literacy and I didn't have a good financial understanding. But I will say this, something I learned, and I'd like you to speak on this, is that don't let fear stop you from picking up the phone. Don't let pride stop you from picking up the phone and having a conversation. And please do not assume that everybody knows that we're in a pandemic, so they're going to give you grace. That's a conversation that you need to have. So would you speak a little bit on that?
That's absolutely true. One thing you should never do is pay your bills emotionally. I don't pay my bill. Like, say, for instance, if Verizon Wireless made you upset and you're like, I'm not going to pay them. Well, it's fine. You don't pay them. But in 30 days, if you don't pay them, it's going to go on your credit. So I would prefer to take care of business on the front end. So when it comes to those that have fear or they just don't know what to do, the best thing to do is communicate. You communicate that. You want to call your creditors, like I stated, especially in the pandemic. And even when the pandemic is not there, there are departments in every company that has departments in place that can help you if you're financially unable to do something. It's better to get in an arrangement with them and let them know that versus you just throwing your hands up and saying, you know what, I don't have it, so I'm not going to pay it, or I'm scared to call them because what if they turn it off? Like, no, it's best to communicate with them because they may have something better to offer you than you actually think.
Yeah, that's happened before. You never know where the blessing is going to come from. And a lot of times it's on a spiritual tip, right? You know, we know this, those that are spiritually aware, you know, you face your fear. Fear, man, fear is a mofo. Fear makes you like jam up and you're just paralyzed, right? But
you don't want to be afraid. When you're paying your bills, I'm sorry to cut you off. Fear is not a factor when it comes to paying bills. Bills is business. So it's an honor system. So that's what bills are. When you're paying your bill, you're honoring that. The light company didn't turn your lights off, so honor them by making the payment, which was the original agreement. This is a business. So you need, when you start thinking of bills of, this is a business, I'm taking care of business when I'm doing this, then you'll get in the habit of making phone calls if you don't have it right now, because you know you're in an agreement. That contract you signed or that verbal contract you gave them is you saying, this is what I'm going to do if you do this. So if the light company didn't turn off your lights, the phone company didn't turn off your phone, the car note people didn't come repossess your vehicle, then you need to honor them by doing your part, which is making that payment towards that bill.
Okay. And I see there's some small business owners on here as well, or people that have a side business. I want to touch on that for a little bit. We talked about that earlier when we were just getting ready. You know, there's some of us think we have a business, and then some of us really have a business. Can you break it down? What's the difference?
Okay, the moment that you sell one item, you're in business. So I want everyone to know that whatever it is, whether this is a product or a service, you're in business. I sell a service. There's a lot of people out there that sell a product. So the moment you get one customer to pay you for what you have or what you know, you're in business. However, when it comes to corporate and when it comes to the banking world and the way that banking does things, in order for you to be notated as a business, there are 4 things that you need to do to be solidified as a business. Number 1, you need to get you a business name, which is basically where you will go register your business with the county. So typically that's about $16 to $30. So you'll go to your county and let them know, like, this is my business name. They'll look it up, make sure that's not taken, and then you'll walk out you pay your fee. You'll walk out with that certificate that lets you know, oh, this is my business name. This belongs to me. Perfect. Now, secondly, the next thing you want to do is get you an EIN number. That's an employee identification number. That's like a social security number for your business. Once you do that, then you go onto the IRS. To do that, you go on to irs.gov. It's something simple. You just go on, put your name of your business, all the information you just got from that certificate. Then now you're in business. So then after that, you want to go to the bank and open you up a bank account under your business name. Now you are registered in the financial industry as a business. Now we know that you're in business because you have now solidified a business name in with the financial industry. Then after that, you make some deposits to that business. You make deposits to that business account so that we'll know that you're in business. So for instance, if you sell t-shirts and say for instance your shirts are $25 each, you want to make $25 deposits to show them that I'm selling things. And then after that, once you have already established that relationship with that bank, then they're going to start offering you a business credit card and a business loan and things like that. So that's considered a real business. And all of those things, all of that costs under $50 to do. So that's how you establish yourself.
I think, we touched a little bit on, taxes and, the stimulus checks and so forth and so on. And, I just happen to know a lot of people, and some people are, have set themselves up officially as a business, and then some people are out here and it's like they're getting cash under the table. And, I'm just keeping it real. So, when it comes to filing your taxes, they're not claiming all of that income, right? Because they're just, it's hand-to-hand money, and, it's like slide it to you, whatever, right? And I'm not judging, please. No. I just want to be able to give information to people so they know what to expect. So I think one of the things that we're uncovering during this process for the small business stimulus loan, for example, there's a loan package that's available to help stimulate small businesses, to help small businesses get over the hump. And there are small businesses that may be eligible for it, but if you haven't set your business up properly as a small business, you're not going to be able to get that. And part of that loan, and I've read up on it, I'm not an expert, so I would say you also do your own research, but part of that loan could be forgivable, meaning you won't have to pay it back. You have to meet certain criteria. But, kind of in the commerce economy, we're sort of a little bit of the get over economy too. So we haven't always been forthright with our taxes and forthright with our income and so forth and so on. And so now when it comes to the time where we need help, like I'm going to give you a classic example. Monica and I touched on it earlier. We know this happens, right? So who's claiming your kids on their taxes, right? Did you loan some kids out and somebody else got the hookup, and now you're looking for your maximum relief check, and you're not going to get it because somebody else might have been claiming, whatever, one or two of your kids. So just case in point. And the reason I want to make the point is that, we don't really think we need to do business the correct way until it really freaking matters. And this is one of those moments where the help that could come to you is based on how you really handled your business prior.
Yes. So I think my belief is whenever you're building a business, I don't care if you don't have any clients, you want to do A, B, C, D. You don't want to do A, Z, and then have to come back to B, come back to C. Now, once your business is built, you may have to do all that to reconfigure. But in the beginning, if you're going to establish yourself as a business, take care of your business correctly. It's only going to help you in the long run. You don't know where your business is going to take you. Just like when I first started my business, I didn't know how far and how fast my business was going to take me. I just had the passion to want to help people understand their credit, but I didn't know that I would become certified to the city of Houston. I know all these opportunities were going to come. I didn't know I would be able to go get a business loan. I didn't think about, I have access to $10,000, $15,000 worth of credit card, limits and things like that under my business name. I wasn't thinking, I'll purchase a house under my business name. But you know how I was able to even be in the running for that was when I established my business correctly. And then after that, I filed my taxes each year. You want to file your taxes every year because you want to see how much your business grew. That's how I knew how my business grew, because at the end when I did my taxes, I'm like, year one, okay, that's what it was. Year two, oh, wow, I grew 41%. Year three, wow, I'm 400% from year one. So filing your taxes and just doing good business, period. It just gets you further. And also it helps when you come in times like this. See, now it's a pandemic. So people who didn't handle good business are suffering even though they're in business. But people that have done good business and they checked off all the things that you need to check off as a business, we have options. And that's all credit is options. What credit is, the reason why you want to have good credit, let's get back to the credit piece, is I always ask the question, do you have somebody that you can borrow $300,000 from today if you need it?
That's a good question.
Do you, Mr. Well, you know a lot of people, so that's different. Right.
Well, you know what? I would say, just my own transparency, right? So, some years ago, I did file bankruptcy. So I've been through the process of having to rebuild my credit, having to be disciplined about everything that Monica is saying, paying bills on time, communicating with people when I got in trouble. And you'd be surprised how kind and understanding people are when you can just be honest with them and they don't have to chase you down for whatever is owed, right? So, I've been through that process, and I won't name one of my personalities at the station, but we were having just a regular conversation the other day, and we were talking about, these other businesses that we're developing, et cetera, and he shared a very proud moment where, his house, he had a mortgage for 11% interest and was just able to refinance at 4% interest and reduce his length of mortgage to 4 years. And then I had done the same thing where I was able to get a 3.3% mortgage interest rate when I refinanced my home, and I had refinanced for lesser time. So, doing good business, it may be tough.
Gives you access.
Yeah, but it does give you access. Yeah, and so, I don't know if I want to borrow $300,000, but
the point is,
probably could.
But this is the thing. My thing is, most of us, especially those who don't have inheritance, those who don't have access to that kind of money, I ask people, do you have someone you can borrow $300,000 from? No. Okay, well, that's why you need to have good credit, because you will have access to it by being able to walk in the bank and ask them for it. So I don't have anybody that can give me $100,000 that I could call. I don't even know anybody I can call and that's $50,000 for. But I know, because I have great credit, I have no worries. When I need that $50,000, I'm going to walk in the bank, give them everything that they're asking for. My credit is not a problem. So I'm walking out with what I need. So good credit gives you access to the money that you need so that you can meet your financial goals faster and you're not being stagnant. So I meet a lot of people that want to start businesses, a lot of people that want to grow their businesses, but they're stagnant and they have wonderful ideas. I'm like, that is a wonderful idea, but they can't move from point A to point B just solely because of their credit. And I've seen a lot of clients who I repaired their credit, and now they're, they've skyrocketed, they've gone. But if they didn't just do that simple thing, is taking time to repair their credit, they would still be stuck in that rut.
So here's a good question for the feed as you're talking about this. What is the best way to build credit from ground zero?
The best thing, number one, depending on your age, if you, and this is for parents too, or if you are 18 and up, the first thing you can do is become an authorized user. This is in the beginning. So say, for instance, if you have a parent or a friend or somebody that you trust or a spouse that has great credit. So say, for instance, if let's say you and I, we know each other, and say that I have a $10,000 credit card limit and I do very well with the credit card, I pay on time, I do all the right things to it. But you don't have good credit and no one will give you a credit card because either you don't have any credit, and so no one can trust you with any. So what I would do is put your name on my credit card as an authorized user. I don't even have to give you a card to have access to it. But just because I put my name, I put your name on my good credit, that starts helping you build your credit. So that credit item will show on your credit report and it'll start building your credit. So that's one way, by becoming an authorized user. And for parents, you can start building your children's credit as well. If you have great credit, you can start building your children's credit if they're 18 and up by adding them as an authorized user. Another way that you can build your credit is by getting a secured credit card. Now, a secured credit card is basically you have to use secure by putting your own money on. An unsecured credit card is you just filling out an application and the bank sends you a credit card limit. But some people who don't have any credit as of yet, they can't get unsecured credit. So to start rebuilding your credit, you want to get a secured credit card. That means that you put your own money down on that card. So you will go in the bank with a minimum of $300, give them that money, and say, hey, I want to get a secured credit card. Now, you're not losing $300. They're just putting that $300 in a plastic form. You're going to get it. You use it like regular. And the benefit of a secured credit card is that all the bank reports that to all 3 credit bureaus. So that's another way you can build your credit. You can also get a co-signer, which I'm not a fan of co-signing. But if it's somebody that's trying to build their credit, like I said, like a spouse or I wouldn't even say spouse. I'll say like one of your children, they're trying to build their credit, then getting a co-signer would help to help build your credit. And also there's a new item here called Experian Boost. So I'm pretty sure some of you have seen it, or maybe you'll start noticing the commercials. That's a way to build your credit. So it's considered as self-reporting. So what that does is you would take your so say for instance, if you pay your cell phone bill and your utilities, that was never considered a credit item before. You couldn't report that to your credit in order to help your credit score. But now through Experian Boost, you can report those items. So you can report your utility bills, you can report your cell phone bills. You will go into Experian.com, go to Experian Boost, enter your information there. Now the only thing with that is they do ask to enter into your checking account so that they can verify that you are paying these items on time, so that they can report correctly. So it would be up to you if you're comfortable with whomever this company Experian is using to have your credit card information. But that's Experian Boost. Once they're able to verify that you're paying these things automatically, then you'll see those things on your credit. So that'll be, if you have no credit, then you at least will have those two items on your